What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and today we're going to be talking about this very interesting and somewhat weird controller that looks like a PlayStation Vita. Let's just come out and say it looks like a Vita. But this was supposedly going to be the new controller for Nintendo's next home console, codenamed the Nintendo NX. We don't know what the official name of it is going to be. I would be very shocked if that remained the official name of it. However, this was going to be the controller, and a lot of people were assuming that this was a prototype of the controller. However, that has been denied by a source from Nintendo Life, which I consider a reputable source for Nintendo information, so we're going to go ahead and claim that this one is false. However, I still wanted to talk about the controller, talk about the Nintendo NX for a minute, and give my thoughts on the two. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So now, within the industry, there have been some rumors circulating about what the Nintendo NX is actually going to be, and the most popular option is that it is going to be a hybrid console between a handheld and a standard home console, meaning that imagine you have a Wii U gamepad and you're playing something on the gamepad, say Super Smash Bros, and you wanted to leave the home. You could literally take that gamepad with you and still play the exact same game with the exact same graphics, just on the go, and then whenever you got back home, you could seamlessly transition back to that television, which seems to me like a pretty cool idea, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing where Nintendo takes their home console editions, because this is a very turning point kind of time for Nintendo when it comes to home consoles, with Sony and Microsoft so far ahead of them, and they're losing more and more steam when it comes to the Wii U. People just don't respect Nintendo as much when it comes to home consoles. They don't see them for they don't see Nintendo as a company for serious games, you know, the yearly releases that everyone looks forward to. They see them more for their Marios and their Sonics and their Legend of Zeldas and whatnot, which there is certainly a niche for that. However, if Nintendo does want to remain a staple of the video game home console market, they're definitely going to have to make some improvements with the Nintendo NX. And I don't know about improvements, but if this controller is anything of like what they're actually going to be going with, there could be some pretty huge changes. Not sure about improvements, but certainly some changes. So now let's take a look at the controller itself. It's got a 3.5mm, presumably, headphone jack on the bottom of it, which is similar to that of a DualShock 4 or an Xbox One controller. Of course, the Xbox One controller did not originally have a 3.5mm port on the bottom of it. However, at a later time, it was added to the new controllers being produced, but that's all beside the point. It's a great feature to have. Of course, if you aren't familiar with it, let's see, right here on the bottom of a DualShock 4, along this little part right here, you can plug in any pair of 3.5mm headphones or even a headset, and you automatically have a compatible headset that works with your PlayStation 4, and that is a pretty cool feature to have, especially if you're gaming in a household that has one big flat screen and you don't want the audio of whatever game you're playing to be blasting through the TV speakers. It's a great option for being able to avoid that nuisance for other people. Now, in this Vine by Tim Azal, which I will link his Vine down below, he created a pretty good representation of what playing The Legend of Zelda on this new Nintendo NX controller might possibly be like. Now, as you can see, and I'll put it on a loop over here, pretty much he's got the AI mapped to the thumbstick, so you can pretty much select weapons, select power-ups, select, you know, whatever usable items you want to equip using those thumbsticks, and then presumably the front would be a touchscreen. Like, you can just go ahead and assume that. But I'm not sure how well this would work, and of course this is all speculation at this point, so we don't really have to assume anything or put anything in stone, but it looks like this is going to be a little bit too weird for the already established gaming audience to automatically go out and adopt this new kind of gameplay. I think that it could work over time, but I definitely don't think that this is going to be something that people go out and buy on day one, because quite frankly, it looks really, really weird. Let's just come out and say it. However, Nintendo has always been one for innovation, especially with stuff like the DS from back in the early 2000 kind of days, whenever no one was really expecting to be able to fold your video game console in half. However, they went out and did it, and it was very innovative. They were taking a huge risk, but it did pay off in the long run because they still use that design today. And so there is no innovation without taking a risk, and this controller would certainly be taking a risk. However, I think it might be too much of a risk. So now, when it comes down to it, everything I'm saying is pure speculation, but with this controller, I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say that I agree with the Nintendo Life source that says this is not the Nintendo NX controller. What I do think that this was a potential prototype for what might become at a later date the Nintendo NX controller. So what I mean by that is that this one is marked Unit 2. Now, that very well means that there was a Unit 1, potentially a Unit 3, 4, 5, and so on. So pretty much, I think that this was created to kind of give people a way to test out what games might feel like on the controller, see if they liked it, and then if they didn't like it, move on. And I feel like this was probably going to be one of the failed controllers that didn't make it past the testing. However, that is just one man's opinion. If you disagree with me, please put your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think this controller actually was. And if you are new to the channel or you've never seen any of my other content, I do upload new stuff like 3 or 4 days a week depending on the weekend. I stream live on Twitch every single Saturday night, so links for all of that stuff will be in the description box down below. But as for right now, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.